and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 57 of A Wild Podcast Has Appeared, the official Pokemon podcast of Comicbook.com. I am one of your hosts, Jim Viscardi, and as always, I am joined by Megan Peters and Christian Hoffer. Welcome back, folks.
Hello.
I just realized for anyone watching the video, I got really close to the camera.
Just creeping in slowly yet surely, That's our
It's that slow zoom.
Yeah. A Wild Podcast Has Appeared is probably going to be your new favorite Pokemon podcast. We hope it is, or I definitely hope you at least add it into rotation. We are a show that talks about all the things Pokemon with a number of non sequiturs and tangents. That's just how it goes.
Yes.
We've been doing it for, now 57 weeks. So If you're new, welcome. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. And you already know. You know how this goes. We break the show up into three. God, wow. We break the show up into 3 parts. First part is a news section. Second part is a deep dive. And at the very end, we get the fan favorite Pokemon fact of the week. It's kind of crazy how a lot of that whole spiel is routine and repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And a year later, I still mess it up.
I was about to say, we have not messed with the format of the show since episode 1. It has literally been the same.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think when we started, it was 2 parts, but it was already 3 parts. We just didn't think it was worthy to give Hoffer his own dedicated segment at the end.
I mean,
the fans at the end came in and said, we need it.
Yeah. Well, that's because I, lured them in with lighthearted PokeFacts of the week, and then I caused them to question their own sanity.
Yeah, now we go too dark. Now we go too deep.
No such thing.
We peel off the veneer of Pokemon a little bit too often, and I'm worried about the damage we're causing.
We just peel off the skin of the Pokemon franchise so that you can get a up close and personal view of the muscle layer.
You act like that's still not horrifying.
Well,
good old times.
Look, we are just 1 week away from a new Pokemon, not really a new Pokemon game, but new Pokemon gameplay on a console. And that's obviously going to be the big deep dive, but I am fiending some new Pokemon DLC for sure.
I'm so ready. So ready.
I was talking to my son. I'm taking off next week specifically so that I may play Pokemon. And so I broke the news to my 5-year-old son earlier today. And so I was like, oh yeah, so hey buddy, next week me and you are going to play a lot of Pokemon. He's like, oh, the Pokemon dungeon game? I'm like, no, another Pokemon game. He's like, oh, okay, the one where I have the Pokeball and I throw at stuff? I'm like, no. The one
where
Pokemon
you watch
game.
Daddy play.
Yes, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
The one you watch Daddy play because
it's a traditional game that you can't mess up. But he was like, oh, I remember that one. And he just walked away. I was like, oh man.
The greatest skill that your son is going to have growing up and as he's getting up to 10 years old is going to be that he is an encyclopedia of Pokemon games.
Yeah. Well, it's just so funny because my kid also does not give a rip about the new DLC coming up. She will when she sees me play it, but right now the fact that there is something coming, she's just that's not now. And I would like to go pull weeds in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my son is still very much obsessed with Tom Nook and his cohorts.
Yes.
I mean, all Nora likes to do is just pull weeds. But anyway, that's neither here nor there because we got a bunch of Pokemon news to get to. So let's jump right into it.
Okay.
So we got a new Pokemon cartoon short that was released last week. That was done in the style of classic Looney Tunes, and it was pretty good.
I enjoyed it a lot. I have consistently said, I mean, if you've ever listened to more than one episode of this podcast, you've probably heard me rant about how we need more Pokemon animated content beyond just the anime series. Like, I really like what they've done with Twilight Wings, and I absolutely love this. I feel like, you know, they should just run those. I would not be surprised if at one point that Pokemon short was supposed to run in front of the new Pokemon movie. That is my running theory.
That's a good theory. So who wants to just quickly recap it for folks who may not have seen it yet?
So Scraggy, of all Pokemon.
Which was a surprise, because I thought, Scraggy?
Yeah, I know. And that's like one of the things I like the fact that we didn't. That was like a pretty obscure Pokemon that was like the star of this.
It's not Charizard.
And amen to that. So he decides that he's going to eat some beans, some Pokemame, and that quest leads him. He follows basically a bag onto a train, suffers several traumatic head injuries in the process, in classic Looney Tunes styles, and then discovers that the bag popping out these beans is actually a Mimikyu. So he looks under Mimikyu's costume, briefly, assumably dies, comes back to life and runs away in terror, and Mimikyu gleefully follows. It's a lot cuter than how I just described it.
It's really cute, but I love how it dealt with such like a dark moment, because like whenever the Pokemon anime has dealt with Mimikyu and the fact that, you know, anyone who looks under it presumably dies because they're scared to death, it's just my favorite thing. Also, the fact that Mimikyu continues to like follow Scraggy is like my favorite, because it's like, no way, I want to kill you again.
Or he wants to be friends.
Well, like, I know, but like it also knows that in order to reach that point, Scraggy's probably gonna die, but it's okay.
It's okay because it's Scraggy. So you know what? If we're gonna lose a Pokemon, I'm okay with it being Scraggy.
Wow. Well, I hope you get a couple people, some Scraggy stands in your DMs.
Well, I mean, okay, like I'll be honest. Like this short kind of highlighted some of my issues with Scraggy in general. Now, they played it up for laughs, but I was really creeped out by Scraggy's skin pants.
Yeah, see that? Yeah, that does make sense.
There were a few times in which Scraggy went into its pants, and he definitely resembled something that I cannot say on a family-friendly podcast.
Yikes.
Yep, I would definitely agree with that.
I mean, and you know, like, yeah, I'm not. I mean,
thank you.
But like, it was just like weird. Like when he gets into his flesh and suddenly he's like, you know, floating around and he's a head covered by skin. It's weird. It's a weird visual that we don't often get to see in the Pokemon like games because you know, that's just too much animation for Game Freak to do. But apparently, a Looney Tunes cartoon, we were able to get that disturbing visual in full view, knowing that exists in canon, made for some great laughs. Also incredibly disturbing.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just excited to see like what they will do next, because there's so many of those like weird one-off things that they can do. That I mean, any of the Pokemon facts that you've discussed could become one of these shorts. Like they really could, about like Poliwhirl like puking its guts out or something, and it's like the little stomach swirls disappear. Like that, those are all things that
I would love to see one that like features Wingull.
Why?
Just because I just feel like it's one of those. Wingull's one of those solid background player Pokemon, right? Just because he's like a seagull or whatever, and I kind of imagine it like what was that Pixar short?
Finding
Piper?
Okay.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's a nice little way to just, you know.
I would just like to see
Wingull.
I would like to see them do a 100% recreation of the scenes, like several of those scenes from Finding Nemo, in which the seagulls attempt to eat the fish with Wingull.
Well, I mean, it could happen. Or ideally, we get a short that's just Farfetch'd running away from humans in terror because he's scared that he's going to get eaten.
Every time he like keeps almost falling into like pots of boiling water.
Yeah, that's very much Looney Tunes. So Yes, I'm a huge fan. I'm definitely a fan of the animation team behind Pokemon branching out from specifically anime to explore stuff like this, because it gives them a chance for some new content and a new break. And it's hilarious. So
there was no translation needed by doing it in that, like, you know, I mean, they used an English because they were mimicking like the Looney Tunes styles. They actually used an English title screen. And, you know, so they were able to, even though it was released on the Japanese Pokemon channel, like, I don't even know if they've, like, put out a US equivalent to it, Chad.
I don't think they have.
They were able to, like, do, you know, like, we were all able to see that and instantly enjoy it. Unlike some of the other shorts that they've done on the Japanese Pokemon channel, where it's like, we're going to sing a song about Magnemite, and English speakers, you're not going to understand a damn word.
Nope. But hey, I appreciate this. The universal language is Looney Tunes.
Yeah, that's true.
We also got a new episode of Twilight Wings.
Yes, we did.
The ongoing story continues.
So this one, it really, just to kind of give you a preface if you haven't seen it, basically this episode focuses on Oleana, who in the games of Sword and Shield you'll remember as Chairman Rose's, like, vice president assistant of the company, and basically, like, in the game she's portrayed as this, like, super shady, quiet lady, doesn't really say anything, but towards the end of the game, spoilers I guess if you haven't finished it, she basically is, like, obsessed with Chairman Rose and is, like, in love with him and, like, wants to, like, do everything in her power to make sure, like, his vision of, like, I guess energy, like, preservation and eternal energy and all that stuff is fine. This episode, though, paints her in a completely different light. Like, she's not an obsessed, crazy fangirl. Like, she's not. Like, it's so interesting to see it because basically you meet Oleana as, like, a researcher who is really invested in her work, even though the work she's doing is pretty crazy. And I don't think most of the people agree with it, except for Chairman Rose and apparently Leon. But she's, like, really invested in this work. Chairman Rose notices her, like, passion and devotion and, like, makes her, like, this really high figure in the company, which I guess you can argue is him just being manipulative again, which I would agree with. But Oleana is just, like, this super cool character, and you really feel sympathetic for her, knowing, like, the road that she ultimately goes on with Sword and Shield, because she's super capable, but she just let herself get consumed by the first person, I guess, who believed in her.
It's very touching.
It is very touching, but it's also really sad. My favorite part, though, is...
Let's be real honest here. All of them have been very sad.
Yes, they have been very sad.
They have all been... sad is the wrong word. Christian had the right word. They've all been very touching.
Yeah, there's been a lot of emotional elements in them. But my two favorite parts of the episode were not emotional or touching in any way. The first one is we get the dancing Mr. Mime. He's just like a street performer dancing for money, which is potentially the greatest thing. And the second part is that you finally see unmasked ball guy, but you only see the back of his head.
That is one of the true mysteries.
We were robbed, and I hope we get it in the next episode.
All right, so
I'm hoping we get a full episode because he's rocking a really stylish haircut, and like I have questions about who he is, who his organization
Ball guy would make a perfect subject for this show.
That'll probably be episode 6.
Yeah.
That'll be episode 6. Ball guy is actually the kid with cancer's dad. I'm calling it now. Because, listen, you can't have Chekhov's cancer without, really using it to twist the knife. But going back a second, let's talk about Mr. Rhyme doing the street performing. Because
how amazing it was?
No, not how amazing it was. His stomach is the one that's doing the breathing. So Mr. Mime is doing his tap dancing, and you see his stomach mouth opening and closing because it's breathing heavy as it performs.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable to say
that. No, that's beyond uncomfortable. That is eldritch horror terrifying. Like
that's just Pokemon.
Let's yeah, but his mouth is on his stomach. Mr. Mime, I don't even know if his head is real. This could be a Wobbuffet situation where it's fake head and real head.
No.
Like, Mr. Rhyme, there needs to be some splaining to do.
Well, here's the thing, right? Because, like, I don't know how... Because inevitably at one point, a Mr. Mime or Mr. Mimes must have made their way to the Galarian region and evolved over time to become Mr. Rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How does that happen? How do you go from mime to rhyme?
Like, what biological or evolutionary like predicament was Mr. Mime put in that made him adopt that form? What happened? What was different?
So I like to think that like 10,000 years ago, there was a land bridge that connected the Galar region to the Kalos region.
Yes.
And that, you know, a group of Mr. Mime made their way across this land bridge, you know, kind of like, you know, I don't know, like huddled up in like, you know, mammoth furs and stuff like that, and made their way across. And then when the land bridge collapsed, they were trapped there. And for whatever reason, instead of going down approximately one route to less snowy regions, Mr. Mime, because they're idiots, all of whom are male too. You know, we're not going to get into that. This is an all-male Pokemon species. Just stayed in that one snowy region. First, developed the ability to dance. 2, developed the ability to make icy tap dancing shoes. And then 3, realized that their evolutionary prerogative was to 1, create a false head, move their actual freaking face. They feed their stomachs directly, guys. Like, let's think about that. The mouth is in the stomach. When they take a hamburger, they just stick it in the stomach. It's weird. It is.
But have you thought that maybe it expended too much energy to digest, like the traditional way?
So it just needs to like
stuck in this tundra, and that's why they dance, because they have to keep their like body warm.
Oh my God,
that is how they keep going.
We are cracking the code.
I'm just saying, it's not suited for that environment. Dancing would help.
It would, yeah. And then eventually they evolved with canes, a bowler hat, and a fake head.
Yeah.
We don't even know where his real eyes are. I mean,
we don't need to.
I mean, we do. I want to know. I want to know, you know, what he's looking at.
Christian is one of the world's leading poke anatomists. He needs to know these things.
I need to know. There's a game I've been I was playing yesterday, and there's a monster in it in which just to summarize, the monster has a key that you need to get in order to escape the dungeon. However, so if the monster is facing you, somebody needs to like stall it so that another person can run up from behind and grab it. I feel Mr. Rhyme is exactly the same. You need to get his bowler hat somehow, but you need to know if it's looking at you or if it's looking somewhere else so you can steal it.
I'm under the impression that the bowler hat is just made of skin. It's not a hat.
Oh, stop. Okay, we're not going there. That's also possible, but we're not going there. We're going to keep moving because we got to keep the show going. So in just sort of, you know, great, you know, feel good news, you know, Pokemon Go last week pledged $5 million to various nonprofit causes, and then the Pokemon Company also came out and said, "Hey, we're going to add another 200,000 of that for Black Lives Matter and the NAACP." So that is just, I think the Pokemon Go and the Niantic one definitely took a lot of people by surprise. It is not a small number by any stretch, but you know, given you know, everything that you know is going on and what they've been doing, I mean, it's a great show of support, which is awesome.
And you know, the thing is you know, that pledge, one, it's a minimum of $5 million. So all proceeds, all of Niantic's share of the proceeds from the upcoming Pokemon Go Live will be split between a variety of nonprofit organizations, and also it will be used to fund Black game designers' creations. Mm-hmm. So in order to like build up, you know, basically not only give them a seat at the table, but also allows them to like actually flourish and thrive So they're going to basically use this as like seed money to help get these projects off the ground and, really, let these creators thrive on the Niantic platform. And it's like, you could say like the cynic, could say it's a little bit self-serving because basically, they're creating more content that can be used on Niantic platforms. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, video games, that industry is not exactly a diverse place. And, this actually not only says like, oh yeah, we're going to, make more, bring in more, diverse people. This is actually giving them the means to like full on succeed and do so. Mm-hmm. I think that is a really big gesture.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, for all the stuff we give Niantic, this is a really solid, actionable plan. Mm-hmm. So kudos, kudos.
I mean, because when other video game manufacturers have like, pledged and like developers and designers have like pledged various amounts of money. Yeah, I think only like maybe Square Enix. There's like one other company that has pledged like $5 million. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. it's literally Niantic, a mobile game and a mobile game maker, and then like a AAA development company, and they're like leading the charge here. That's mm-hmm. really great.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna go through cut some of the rest of the stuff that is on our news thing before we get to our deep dive because we got to take our break soon. There is a life-size Psyduck plush coming, which mm-hmm. is pretty fantastic.
It's 4 feet tall. It is 4 feet tall. That is taller than probably one of your children.
That's taller than both of our children.
Yes, at least, taller than your children.
Look, I am all about the Pokemon Company getting into the life-size Pokemon plush game. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
for sure. 110%.
I mean, and also, this is not one of those, like, remember when they made, like, the life-size Furret, and everyone was like, why Furret?
Yeah.
No one is asking that question, because everyone wants a freaking life-size Psyduck. I want a life-size Psyduck. Pokemon Company, please send me a life-size Psyduck. I will, like, literally I'll tear out shelves and give it a place of honor behind me.
I guess I was the only one who wanted the life-size ferret, but I do love ferrets, so I guess that's my issue.
Yeah, no, give me the Psyduck. 1, I will use it to terrify my child. 2, I want it. Give it to me.
I hope we inevitably get to a point where like Pokemon centers in Japan look like the entrance to what used to be FAO Schwartz, where it was just giant plush animals that are all various life sizes. It's
massive Snorlax. You want
total and complete, sidetrack. So there's, I think it's either the Korean Baseball League or the Japanese Baseball League. They're currently doing games right now, but they can't have anybody over. It is Korean. Okay, I thought so. Korean. And so what they're doing is they're just putting stuffed animals in the stands, and a lot of them are giant Pokemon. Mm-hmm. They need like 50 of those Psyducks, just a Psyduck section. Because it's the most amazing thing in the world. I highly encourage everyone to go and look it up. Solely because you get to watch like Pikachu and Snorlax watching baseball in the stands. Like, we're talking like right behind like home plate. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a Gengar in there, so Jim can be happy.
Yeah, it's great. But also put a Psyduck section. Like maybe they can be like the bleacher fans.
Gotcha.
And Pokemon Go news really quick. The Latios and Latias raid is this weekend.
Yep. First time in 5 months that they are coming back to the game. Yep. Everyone has them. They're not super meta important, but if you're looking for something to do,
they are.
Yeah.
When is the community day? Did I miss
that? That's like 2 weeks from now. I think it's like the 20. Maybe it's next weekend.
Or
not this coming weekend, but yeah, we will enlighten you when that comes up. There you go. That's the way around that.
And then at the very last thing we've got original Stitch. We've loved their shirts and their designs and all of that is now getting into the Polo game, mm-hmm. and they're pretty legit.
Yeah, they look really cool.
They look really, really cool. It's only open to the first 151. Mm-hmm.
And they come with, the big difference is while the original Stitch, the dress shirts all had different fabrics,
patterns and designs.
these ones are all different little embroideries. So like you can have like a little Bulbasaur right here, or if you prefer to have like a breast pocket made of one of the original Stitch fabrics, you can have it on. You can have the embroidery like on like the bottom of the shirt. It looks awesome. Like they are great. I really want one.
I mean, same. Because also, when I was in high school, I mean, I went to a private school. And we had like a very strict dress code. We always had to wear polos, and I have not worn a polo since I graduated high school because I hated them because I wore them every single day. And these are the first polos I've been like, you know what? I would wear those.
Nice.
So before this pandemic happened, my day job is at a traditional office place in an industry that is very, let's just say traditional. And so like I would have to wear dress shirts like every single day. And so in the summer, because this is an industry in which golfing is something that people do for like, work pleasure sort of things, the golf shirts were like, seen as an acceptable alternative. And so like this year I was like, maybe I should just go and bite the bullet, buy a couple of polo shirts so I wouldn't have to wear like a freaking white dress button down shirt every single day. Then the pandemic happened and I'm never going to wear a dress shirt again. But Original Stitch had the right idea. I will probably still get one of these and wear it because I can.
Yep.
Yes.
And they are much more affordable than the
relatively speaking.
ish. I mean, but the turnaround time on them seems to be a bit faster as well.
Yeah,
they ship in 3 to 4 weeks, where the shirts were like 7 to 8. So, so yes, that's that. So when we get back, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about the Sword and Shield DLC.
All
right. Next week, by this time next week, we're going to be talking about it.
It's
we're
so
going
close.
to be talking about our experiences with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I will have just dedicated my life to it.
What is the aspect of the game that you guys are the most excited for?
I've been on like a big like exploration mode for like in all aspects of my life recently. I think it's because I'm like stir crazy in here, so I'm really excited to get to explore a region that we don't know a lot about. I'm excited to see what Pokemon show up. I'm excited to see if they're holding back some new Pokemon.
I hope so. That's a big thing. I hope that we get a bunch, like there's Pokemon in there that they have not shown us yet, or there's older Pokemon that we did not know were coming. Like that.
Yeah, I just feel that how Sword and Shield, when they did their initial release, they held back a lot of information. Like, probably about, I would say 60 to 70% of that game they held back on, like in terms of like the new Pokemon, the Gigantamax forms, like all of that. They kept that really close to the chest. I would absolutely love if they did that again for Isle of Armor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm really hoping that's the case, because I would love to go in there and, when I pick it up on Tuesday, and, it downloads and all that stuff, I go there and there are new Pokemon that I have never seen before. That would make my day.
Yeah. For me, it's a very similar thing. I mean, looking for Pokemon, obviously, but like getting to explore that new wild area, whatever it's going to kind of look like. And particularly for me, as just like a collectionist, is just getting the new Pokemon, like figuring out like how many there are, what I can get, like just the whole reveal of the designs and like how I can fit them into my team, not necessarily for competitive play, but just for like personal satisfaction. Very excited to see. Also, me, as I mentioned when this game first came out, I'm hoping they're releasing some new like clothing options and stuff.
Yes.
Because I think I have bought everything and I need a wardrobe makeover. My character, I'm
Megan
like
just loaded in Pokemon Cash.
Like at Animal Crossing, like as we've discussed, I buy everything in the clothing store, I'm also that way with Pokemon. I'm like that in
That's
every
amazing.
video game I play. So I really need some new clothes. If I'm sounding a little crazy, it's because I really need them. So that's what I'm excited about.
The thing for me is one of the modes of the game where the battling all the legendaries and going through
But
all that.
that won't be until later this year.
Oh, well, that's the thing I was looking forward to.
Well, I'm glad I told you about that now because
he would have been so upset.
We would have had
upset.
next week's episode. We could have used a thumbnail of Jim going like, Jim hates so and so because he couldn't pay attention to the press releases.
Wow. I mean, there's always Cub Fu that you could look forward to.
Yeah.
But I'm also too like, I like some of the early parts of Sword and Shield were a lot of the raids, when they were doing them and getting the game specific stuff. And so I'm very much excited for those as well. I really enjoy that kind of method of to me it's relatively quick gameplay that has big enough stakes, right? Like it's not just a trainer like it's, to me it doesn't feel like grinding trainer battles to like get to somewhere or whatever. It's more of a you're kind of on the hunt kind of thing, which is an aspect of that I enjoy. I'm definitely excited to see and get the original 3 in with their Gigantamax forms, the original 3 starters. Well, the 2, Venusaur and Blastoise. But adding what I would love is I would love my team to inevitably be, or I just want to see like how it works. It's an awful like strategy if I was ever going to go competitively, but I would like Squirtle, Blastoise, Charizard, Venusaur, and Rillaboom and Cinderace, and I forgot the other one.
Inteleon.
Wow.
That one. And I don't care about Inteleon at all, but that's fine.
Oh my goodness. Well, he's gonna snipe you from 2 miles away.
Yeah, it's fine. He's just gonna.
You're gonna Jim's character is gonna walk onto the Isle of Armor and then boom, headshot.
Inteleon's over there, just 2 finger salute.
With his little tail, his tail high point, because that's his Gigantamax form.
But I'm also too like looking forward to the additional story, right?
Yeah, that's like, pretty cool.
Sword and Shield, I felt like for all of its problems and all of its problematic characters, had a fun story.
It did.
Even the weird post game one, which is just
I like the fact. So I've come to appreciate. So one of the funny things where Sword and Shield was one plain sight, and a lot of fans have said was they saved the story for the post game, where because the story while you were exploring was just like Chairman Rose has got a plan and Leon has big eyes and will go along with anything, and that was kind of the extent of the story. And with the actual meaty story where it was like, oh, the royalty is rising up once again. One of them has a shield face and the other one, sure, let's call that a sword. So I feel like we will definitely get more story because I think they kind of saved all the really juicy story bits for these DLC content.
Is it going to be Isle of Armor or the Tundra that breaks Chairman Rose out of prison?
It's definitely going to be the Tundra because I guarantee that's where the prison is at. Is in a unforgiving, frosty. It is the freaking Siberia.
Did they just send him to the gulag? What is happening?
I mean, he deserves it. I mean, let's be real.
The story will be good.
Well, that's the other thing too, right? Like it's one of the things that I've said time and time again about Twilight Wings, where I feel that they have done such a great, between the game and that series, have done a great job, fleshing out the world of Galar. That I'm I dig this part of the Pokemon world for sure.
Yeah.
Well, how much extra content hours wise do you think we're getting?
I mean, I hope 30 hours, but that's optimistic, I
Megan.
guess. That's like optimistic. A full-length Pokemon game.
Hey, I play really slowly. And if I got to get enough money, and if I got to get enough money to get all those clothes, it might take me that long. But more realistically, it's probably like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it will depend on how they do the raids, and how many new species of Gigantamax Pokemon they add through raids. I ultimately think that's what's going to come down to. Is I think you'll be able to probably pound out the actual like core Isle of Armor storyline, whatever it is, in probably 5 or 6 hours. I mean, let's be realistic. That is usually how much additional time you get on DLCs. So if they can give me more than 5 hours of just like, whatever it is that I'm going to do, that will be enough for the story. But what I really want to see is a second full-blown wild area with lots of stuff that I can do. Yep. Like, even if it means like, like I don't want to see like 30 species of Pokemon, like, like those, that's it for the raids. Like, give me my full, like 150 or however many they're adding. Like, I want a lot of, that's what I want. I want, that, because, that was like the thing that towards the end, the reason why I have stopped playing Pokemon Sword and Shield on a daily basis is because I have run out of things to do, frankly.
The dex is not hard to fill.
Yeah, it is the first time. It's only 400. It's only 400 Pokemon. Yeah. So it's I was able to fill it out by January. Yeah. And so like after that, I did some shiny hunting for a bit. That was fun. But the problem was I'd run around and do the raids, and it was like, okay, well, I already have a 5-star of this. I already have a 5-star of that. This is fine, but I don't know. And that's kind of like what it came down to was I had like even like the random Pokemon species that were walking around, I had them all. Like like it was really awesome to see a freaking Gengar out in the wild, and then I caught it, and then I would go and battle it from time to time. But I kind of got tired of that Gengar being in the same place,
same spot every time,
every time,
or every or like every other day or whatever.
There were fixed rare Pokemon locations, and that was awesome during my first playthrough. But the second that you got to the post game, it's like, oh, hello Gengar, wave as I
how are you?
Bike past him.
Yeah. Just became like a landmark at that point.
Yeah, that was like me and the Garbodor that sits right outside the castle entrance. That was like
I was like, how you doing?
The only thing I could think of is just like that Garbodor is sitting there and people are throwing trash over the castle walls, and just that's where that Garbodor lives.
So my secret shame about that Garbodor. So when I was filling up my Pokedex, I came down and I had like 5 Pokemon species left, and they were like Riolu, Lucario, like whatever Spritzy's evolution and whatever the other like pastry Pokemon's evolution was. And then I was like, so who's the 5th one? And the 5th one was Garbodor. I was like, I've never caught a Garbodor. Like, really? I have like 15 Trubbishes. I've never bothered to evolve one. I've never bothered to capture the one that's literally just standing there going, oh, guys, go and capture me. I'm across the bridge. I'm a mile challenge. So I walked over and like shamefully caught that Garbodor. I was like, sup, guy? He's like, oh, I'm still here. I was like, shut up and get in the damn ball.
I'm sorry, but just get in here.
Yeah, it's like, come on, let's get going.
Yeah, well, we'll see what the landmarks are, I guess, in this DLC.
Yeah. What do we think this needs to do to be a success?
I think that one, it needs to. This is the first DLC ever. Yep. Okay. We know that we're going to get a new story with new legendaries. What I would like to see out of this is some way, like if you pay for it, I would like to see a mythical event. Like that is like my pipe dream. Like really, like like not talking like Zarude. Give me like one of the old ones. Like I would like to see something more than like here's this Cubfu. Yeah. Go forth. He's yours now. Train him. Because I feel like that is what the storyline is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure like me and Kung Fu are going to get along great, and then he's going to evolve into Urshifu, and it's going to go great, and then I'm never going to use him again.
Yep.
But I really hope that we get more than just that. Like, I will be happy if we get the new wild area and we get, the new Pokemon species. But for people to point to Isle of Armor and say, this is setting the tone for the future of the Pokemon franchise, I think we need some surprises. And two, we need like storyline level events. Like, even like, remember how we caught how you caught your legendary Pokemon in Sword or Shield? In that post-game event, there was an entire storyline that you went through to catch it. And both of them, because Eternus, was also basically that was the culmination of a big storyline. Mm-hmm. I want more stuff like that. Make me feel like the legendary Pokemon are important. Make me feel like this game, this DLC is important, and not just something like extra.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll agree. It definitely needs some sort of event that ties it into like a bigger narrative. But like you're saying with bringing in like a mythical Pokemon, I mean, my pipe dream has always been like it does some more like this isn't like a necessary thing, but for me, when you get new additions to like DLC and stuff, like I mean, I've said this before in the podcast, I always harken back to like Breath of the Wild and how you see like a lot of the DLC stuff is then getting teased in like the main game. Mm-hmm. Like I want to see some more like crossover of like people talking about the new area and stuff, like how they teased like the Slowpoke that showed up in the train station, like that. Like that was so simple, and it's nothing like foundational or like anything like that or like fundamental to the DLC, but it was like a really nice thing that like tied everything together. And that's the thing that I appreciate most of Pokemon games is when they feel like a cohesive unit. And so with the DLC, that becomes a brand new challenge since the franchise has never done that before. So I'm hoping that they're able to continue having that feeling. So that's kind of what my ideal pipe dream would be, along with the mythical Pokemon, because yes.
So, bringing up your point, what's really interesting about that, how you were talking, like, I want to see like people actually talking about the Isle of Armor. Pokemon Masters right now is doing a tie-in event.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon
sorry.
Masters.
I'm sorry. Did you say Pokemon Masters?
I did. That game.
Wait, what's that?
Yeah, exactly. But they're doing a tie-in event, and so all of the dialogue choices right now is all the characters talking about the Isle of Armor to get people hyped.
Yeah.
For this, like
that's what I want. But
that
in
would
the game.
be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like I love that. Like I actually opened Pokemon Masters when I saw that was happening, and I was like, all right, I'm done. It's been 3 minutes. But like I would love if the game would start doing that too, because as this DLC comes closer, I've been playing Sword and Shield more frequently. Well, I have Shield. I've been playing Shield more frequently to like get a team ready and figure out like what I need to do, get my new outfit ready. And unfortunately, it's just been no one in the game is as excited as I am. And I want someone in the game to be as excited as I am. So
my hope for this is that I would my super pipe dream is that this is the start of a run on Pokemon games that connects it all together. Like with, with all of the inevitably we build to a point where like all of the regions are kind of, involved in a crazy way. But like, I would love for there to be like, start being teases of, if there were people from other regions in this region, right? Because it makes it so that you don't even run into someone who's like traveled from, somewhere. I mean, like using the Slowpoke one is kind of an example because it's still within the same region. But like, you're telling me that no one from Johto has ever traveled to Galar, and you've run into one or two people like that.
I mean, it would make sense in this case. They have towers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, so like, but I my hope is, even from a gameplay or functionality standpoint, that this would be the start of something more like how the battle royale games kind of approach their semi-serialized content. right? Or your Fortnites or your Call of Duties, where like the map in Fortnite the map changes every once in a while, and new events and things kind of happen. Where it's great that we're getting new DLC, but I hope that there is a longer string of events leading us to the next set of DLC, as opposed to, okay, we're only going to do stuff for maybe the next month, or or not months, but like 2 or 3 months, and then okay, we're going to go into a Pokemon drought again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it would just be a great way to just keep people involved. And look, I know it's a super touchy subject, but I mean it works in Pokemon Go, that I would not be opposed to seeing the Pokemon Company in the games like start introducing mechanics like like cosmetics, basically. Just like, because then you can do, as holidays come around, or as like events or things like happen, like it's just a little way to like keep stuff fresh. Like I'd love to see some of those Pokemon Go type event things.
Okay. Like the event, the costume Pokemon and stuff like
that. Yeah, or like custom Pokemon, or just even things like the community days or whatnot. Like I know it's a lot. That's a way harder thing to do, but there's a lot of cool event type things that Pokemon Go does that I don't think would be too hard to translate in.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think, and we've seen some of that with like how they've had the rotating raid events.
Yep.
I would like to see some more focus. I'm honestly, realistically, the Nintendo Switch right now is in the middle of its life cycle. It's kind of like at its peak. The Switch is what, 4 years old at this point? 3-4 years old. So, what I'm really curious to see is if Game Freak decides like we are going to put out another Pokemon game.
Yeah. Or
if they say, you know what, for Gen 8, we are just going to support Sword and Shield for the foreseeable future. Because like, we thought, like when they said with Smash Brothers, like, yeah, we're doing a fighter pack. Everyone's like, okay, that's it. And then they're like, no, by the way, we're doing another fighter pack. They added like 12, more fighters to that game. So there is definitely room to do more stuff like that. Like Animal Crossing is adding new content on a monthly basis. And I think it will continue. What will be really interesting with Animal Crossing and also Pokemon is when they hit that like 1 year cycle, what do they do? Do they just say, okay, we've done what we can, which is basically how most video games do it, frankly, is they have their core content, then they release the DLC, and then they peace out. Or if they actually turn these into living games.
Yeah.
Like Fortnite and Pokemon Go. I mean, because, Pokemon Go is more successful than it's ever been. Yep. It's making money hand over fist.
Still.
Yeah. Like, one of my D&D players was like, oh, do people still play, Pokemon Go? I'm like, yeah, and it's like a freaking cash cow. Yeah. Like they can't print money fast enough. That's the problem with it, is like literally they can't get the employees to enough employees to actually support this game. I would love to see that happen with Pokemon. Is like, let's commit. Let's really get weird here with Pokemon. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. No, I agree. That would be great.
Like I don't think we will ever see I know never say never, but I don't think we'll ever see a next gen console open world kind of Pokemon game. I just don't think that's necessarily like what the franchise is, where it needs to go, or whatever. I think the jump that we got, from Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield was a massive one, and it was a welcome one, and it was great, and it's a ton of fun, and it's a great look. But I would love to see some interactive, ongoing elements to it that I think. And like I said, like I don't know how, like, it's selfish to be like, oh, it'd be great to go back to Kanto or Johto or wherever, right? And with the Pokemon you've got, or go along like a Pokemon Journey style adventure, right? Like that would be an enormous game, and I don't think it would.
Well, I think that, hypothetically,
Yep.
So let's acknowledge the fact that this is Game Freak we're talking about. They move at a snail's pace, and all of this is just really pipe dream stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I am not actually expecting any of this. What honestly I would love is, so we kind of like what we have for the wild area. So, you have a game that is built around the wild area. So set spots where you go through your Pokemon experience. You have your towns and stuff like that. And the wild area is what shifts and changes over time. Or, let's say that, okay, well, guys, instead of going to this wild area today, for the next few months, this wild area is shut down for maintenance. Or like, oh, we're going on a Grand Prix tour. So for the next couple of months, you can have access to this part of the Kanto region. Like, the Safari Zone, the Safari Zone's opened up. So, here's the Kanto wild area. And then move to the Johto wild area. Because I remember when Skyrim came out, one of the DLCs that they did with that was, it was like the going next to Morrowind. So it wasn't actually Morrowind. Like, you couldn't go like, oh, look, I'm going to run through this entire game. But it was like one spot of it, and it was enough for fans. I do feel like if you were to say like, okay, because that's what they did with Pokemon Gold and Silver. We got all of Kanto, but really it was a very leaned down Kanto region. Like the Viridian Forest was gone. You couldn't do like any of the caves, and that was fine. Everyone was okay with that because it was awesome that we got to go back and we got to see how it changed. It would be cool if they did something like that, where give us these like second, third wild areas and kind of like rotate them in and out under some like, yes, you're doing a world tour. Kind of like what Ash and Go are doing in Pokemon Journeys.
Yeah.
So, for a few months, so that, they're going to open stuff out eventually. You don't know when. I think that would be a really cool compromise. And that's what Pokemon Go does. They do their raids. Like, we just talked about Latios and Latias. They haven't been around in the game for 6 months. They're doing a weekend. So if you want them, go and get them. If not, you probably already have them. You don't care. Like, do something like that where it's like, oh, yeah, for this weekend only, go to the Johto Island or something like that. That would be awesome.
I think we do. And I'll say one last thing because we do got to move to the Pokemon Fact of the Week. I think even if they were to just say, like, we woke up tomorrow and said, oh, hey, all the Pokemon that, you're used to walking by, like all your landmark, Pokemon or whatever, they're all gone.
Yep.
And boom, here are 90 new Pokemon.
That would be freaking amazing.
Like, it would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the kind of thing that it could do on a bit more, in between, potentially something in between DLCs or in between games that it would make a lot of longtime fans, happy and get the new fans excited for things that they feel like they may have missed out on. So,
and also, I'll go one step further. What I would love, remember when they came out with the Galarian Slowpoke and it was like, oh, by the way, this freaking Slowpoke just showed up. What's the deal with that? I would love it if they just randomly threw in like the occasional new species of Pokemon like that. Like, like, oh, yep, there's like 40 new Pokemon that have just like rotated into the wild area. We don't know why. And then suddenly you're like, wait a second, what's this? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
All right. Let's get to the Pokemon Fact of the Week.
Okay.
All right.
So when I first was looking up this week's Pokemon, I was like, this is a pretty lame Pokemon. Then I discovered one interesting fact, one weird fact, and one absolutely horrifying fact. So we'll start with the interesting fact.
Perfect.
What was the first actual Pokemon to appear in the Pokemon anime?
I read this book, so I know the answer.
I mean, I knew it before I read it, that I'm anime queen. So everyone who's listening.
It's Dodrio. So,
yep.
So Dodrio, all the Pokemon that had appeared before Dodrio were either in Ash's dreams or were on like posters. So Dodrio technically is the first actual Pokemon to appear in the Pokemon anime. So that's pretty interesting fact. The weird fact is Dodrio, despite the fact, and Doduo, despite the fact that it has no wings, it can learn fly.
I thought they had tiny wings. They don't have tiny wings?
No. They are flightless. They are
right.
based off of like flightless birds. They're supposed to be kind
Mhm.
of like they're like dodos, you know.
Well, that's what I thought.
Only
That's why I
dodos
thought they
actually
had like tiny wings.
But yeah, no. In Pokemon, I don't know how many people remember Pokemon Stadium when
Yes.
you taught your Dodrio fought, and so you'd see like Doduo like running in the air, and it was
Yeah.
like just the weirdest freaking thing. Here's the horrifying fact: where does Dodrio's third head come from?
Oh no.
No, don't do this to us. No.
I don't know. I don't.
Is it like a weird thing that he like in utero he like stole his twin and like took his head?
It's even weirder. So
Oh.
here's two heads.
Christian is holding up two fingers right now. For those
When
listeners.
it evolves, this finger,
the one on the right,
stays, just keeps hanging out. I can't put down only that finger, but the second, head,
the finger on the left, which would be
splits in half.
Whoa, that's like some weird.
So one head stays the same. The other head splits into two.
Okay, well, so
that's very uncomfortable. There's like
but also it kind of reminds me of the the Hydra in Hercules, the animated movie.
Yeah.
Just how it just got that is how I
or just the Hydra. That's what all Hydra.
Right, but the way it was depicted in that movie is how I picture it. I get that's how it works, Christian.
Wow, that's just so weird. I wonder if the heads all have like a superiority or
like complex. Does like left hand say like you two, the ones with the half brains?
Yeah, like I'm so curious now. Like, is there like a weird like issue between all the heads? Are they all friends? Do they hate each other? They can't get rid of each other, or can they? There's a lot of questions I have now.
What happens if you cut off a Dodrio head? Does two more grow into its place?
Oh my god!
Maybe we'll find out in Isle of Armo. Do Quattro.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us today.
On that lovely little tidbit.
If you want more fascinating Pokemon facts, by all means, check out our library. If you have not, there are plenty of episodes with plenty of facts to make you a better, smarter Pokemon fan. If you want to get the word out about the show, if you're thinking to yourself, how can I help these guys out? These guys, they provide me with a bunch of entertainment and enjoyment. I would love to find a way to do whatever I can to help them out. Just tell somebody about it. That's all that matters.
Or you can always send me one of those life-size Psyduck ducks.
Or
wow.
You can leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, and if we read it on the air, we won't do one this week. We'll probably do maybe one or two next week. If we read it on the air, you will get a free Comicbook.com t-shirt when we are back in the office and are able to send shirts out. So with that, like I said, shows are every Thursday wherever podcasts can be found. If you have trouble finding podcasts, let us know. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Jim Viscardi.
I'm on Twitter at Megan Peters CB.
And I am at Seahoffer CBus.
And we'll send you links to where you can find the podcast if you're having trouble. Or if you just want to talk about Pokemon in general and just chat a little bit, hit us up there. So like I said, that does it for us today. Nice big show. And next week we're talking about DLC, so you're not going to want to miss that episode for sure. So until then, we'll catch you later.